Hi, this is Chris Costello, and I've teamed up with Michael Senoff to bring you the world's best health-related interviews. So if you know anyone struggling with their weight, with cancer, diabetes, ADHD, autism, heart disease, or other health issues, send them over to Michael Senoff's HardToFindSeminars.com. Today we're talking with Dr. Len Saputo, who is a physician and author of Return to Healing, and Vicki Saputo, co-founder of the Health Medicine Forum and Health Medicine Center up in Northern California. Thank you guys so much for joining us today.
Thank you for having us.
Great to be on your show, Chris.
One of the things that's come up recently, the whole controversy with mammograms. What's going on with that?
Well, it's an interesting story because it's a very good test for women who are over the age of 50 or 55. And actually, maybe 15% of lives are extended because of that. But for women under the age of 55 or 50, it's very debatable. And actually, I don't think there's any saving of life at all when you look at all the factors that are involved.
I thought it was pretty exciting when the U.S. Preventive Task Force started recommending delaying the mammograms between 40 and 50. But boy, is that an emotional thing. A lot of people are really charged over that debate.
You know, really the whole thing started a few weeks ago when the American Cancer Society doctor, who was the chief oncologist there, came out with a statement that mammograms for women under the age of 50 probably weren't that good a test, and he mentioned a couple of other tests for cancer screening that weren't very good as well. But within 2 hours of the time that Dr. Otis Brawley, made these statements, the American Cancer Society had made him recant and changed things on the website to reflect that. And he's now taking the position that it's important to do mammograms for women under the age of 50 because it saves lives, about 15%. What they're referring to is the overall saving of lives, about 15%. And all those lives, for the most part, are in women who are postmenopausal, who are over the age of 50. So a lot of those numbers get distorted. They're not used properly. They're used to make arguments that aren't correct. And there's a whole story behind it that is actually just follow the dollars and you get the answer. The whole business of mammography is one that's being reevaluated, but it's been reevaluated a number of times. The American College of Physicians just a couple of years ago, with about 150,000 members, made the statement that they thought that mammography for women under the age of 50 should be under the supervision of each individual doctor and each individual patient, and maybe you should do it and maybe you shouldn't.
Because we also need to be really aware of the fact that mammograms are giving us low-dose radiation, which after a while can actually cause breast cancer.
Right. Here are some of the numbers, okay? You have to do over 1,900 mammograms to save one life. Yeah, it saves one life. You will cause 2 cancers, okay, by the radiation. You will also overdiagnose about 30% of people who don't need to be treated, and they will be given surgery, radiation, and chemotherapy often. There will be deaths from that. When the people in Scandinavia did a study maybe about 10 years ago, they came up with a shocking result that showed that there was actually an increase in the death rate in women who were premenopausal who had mammograms. And that stunned the world. And everybody said, oh, it must be a mistake. How could it increase the death rate? Because it's supposed to save lives. So they basically threw that study out. But when we look at the stuff that Otis Brawley's talking about, and other people now, American Cancer Society is not, but the American College of Physicians is, you're looking at a really startling situation that is changing the way a lot of women are looking at things.
And then also, what about when Kathleen Sebelius got in on this, our Secretary of Health and Human Services, and she went along with the American Cancer Society and told women to go ahead and get those mammograms if they were between 40 and 50 anyway.
Well, that was a political move, okay? So what we've got there is a situation that is not based on fact. And, I mean, who is Catherine Sebelius? She's not a doctor. She doesn't have the training that physicians do or people who know this field. She's getting information from a staff.
I bet most people assume she's an MD.
No way is she an MD. And so she can say anything she wants to try and make the right statement politically. But when you look at this, Chris, this is something that's gotten out of hand.
Just, the last week or so on the show, The View, that's on every morning, they interviewed this doctor. I can't think of his name, but he was from Sloan Kettering, and he was recommending how women get yearly mammograms and how they decrease the risk of dying from breast cancer 15%. But like Len said, that was for overall, not just that group of women between 40 and 50, but he made it sound like it was that. Now, Elizabeth Hasselbeck, that's on that show, her mother had breast cancer. So she's really, really into anything that has to do with screening for breast cancer, and she's just like up in arms. Talk about being emotionally charged, and she just thinks it's terrible that they're trying to kill us by telling us not to get mammograms.
These women are feminists and they're radicals. They're not looking at the facts. They're looking at the politics of what's going on. If you want to know what's going on, Chris, you've got to follow the dollars. I mean, what does Sloan Kettering get in the way of reimbursements from Big Pharma? What does the American Cancer Society get in the way of reimbursements from Big Pharma? And that's where the rubber meets the road. Those are huge amounts of income. Would you expect them to bite the hand that feeds them?
Well, the other thing, too, I think, to go back for a little bit, is that we've all been just brainwashed and pushed to get mammograms for years. All the shows, we're always hearing it all the time. And it always sounds like it's coming from such an authoritative, good place. And sometimes it comes from talk show hosts and people on the news because everybody just is following the bandwagon. They're just assuming that that's what we should be doing.
Well, it's coming from the people who have the most to gain from it economically. It's not about doing what's right. If they're doing what's right, they wouldn't be doing routine mammograms, as no other country in the world does, by the way, in women under the age of 50. They'd be doing the right thing. They wouldn't be just following the dollars that are coming out of Big Pharma and, for example, going to the American Cancer Society. The money that goes to the American Cancer Society a lot of the time is funneled right through to facilities that are made to enable people who live more than 40 miles away from a place where they could get the chemotherapy treatment possible. So they donate a lot of money, probably $6-7 million for each facility that goes up to the American Cancer Society, and the American Cancer Society builds what it wants. And what that enables Big Pharma to do is to make sure these women get treated with chemotherapy, whether they need it or not, based on all the tests that have been done. And even though there are 23 facilities and they spent $150 million building them all, the return on investment that they get over a 30-year period is over $100 billion. So the American Cancer Society, they're smelling like a rose. They get money. Big Pharma looks like they're doing a good thing because they give money to the American Cancer Society. Then all these women who mightn't have gotten treatment now will get it. And, of course, that means big return on investment.
And what about the physicians that are recommending it?
To have it, a lot of them are in the mammography industry. I mean, who are the people who are complaining? It's the plastic surgeons doing the reconstruction. It's the surgeons doing the surgery. It's the oncologists. It's the radiologists who are doing the business. They all have something to gain from it. There's a conflict of interest. And in a society like ours where you follow the dollars and then you see where they go, you'll find out why people take the positions that they do that don't seem to make sense from a scientific point of view.
Because also the only things that are legal to do in California anyway are chemo, radiation, and surgery if you have breast cancer. They don't talk anything about doing alternatives.
No, but the point is that if you follow the dollars, you'll see that people who are really making the money, first is Big Pharma, and then you're looking at some of the adjunctive therapies. I mean, the mammography industry doesn't want to go away, so they're blowing their horn too. And then everybody who's getting money along the side doesn't want to bite the hand that feeds it, and that's probably what's happening at this cancer center in New York as well. They get lots of money for their research, lots of money for a lot of things that they'd like to build and educate that are all pro-pharma.
One of the things that happens is that oftentimes breast cancer is overdiagnosed with the mammograms because many times there are false positives as well as false negatives.
That is such a good point.
Hi, it's Michael Senoff with HardToFindSeminars.com. Thanks for watching this video. You know, many of my interviews last 30 minutes, 40 minutes, an hour, sometimes even up to 2.5 hours long. They're actual mini-seminars, and you've just listened to a short sample of just one of over 117 hours of exciting, hard-hitting, mind-blowing interviews on how to make money in direct mail, advertising, copywriting. I assure you, there is not a resource anywhere on the internet or on the planet that comes close to the free information I provide at HardToFindSeminars.com. So go right now to HardToFindSeminars.com and you'll have free access to 117 hours of audio interviews with typed word-for-word downloadable transcripts and downloadable MP3 files. Please browse some more of the videos or go right directly to HardToFindSeminars.com. Thanks for watching.